Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is when this video finds you. I pray that in this holiday season that our hearts are full of joy regardless of whatever the circumstances that we're going through. I just very quickly wanted to talk about something that the Holy Spirit dropped on me as I was cleaning today, because I keep seeing all of these news articles about Jane Roe, and had a conversation with my supervisor a couple of weeks ago, and she was telling me, we were talking about Texas. I love Texas. Nobody can convince me not to. But she was telling me that in Texas, there's the whole, they overturned abortion, and basically you can't have abortions at all in that state. And I was telling her, well, there are very few circumstances where the woman, whatever the case is, whatever the complication is, there are a few circumstances where she can't just birth the baby. Whether the baby survives or not is not what we were talking about, but we were talking about women's health. And she was like, well, no, there are definitely some occasions where the baby has to be aborted. I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't agree with that. But it brings up a good point that I think women should actually be angrier about, that women should actually have more to say about than the right to delete their own children. And that is, why is it that we are calling ourselves to be so technologically advanced that we are turning men from men to trans women, because I'm not going to call them women. We're turning men to trans women. But the oldest procedure since the dawn of man, which is giving birth, why are there, we should have this down. We should have this down. There should be no excuse why women are dying during birth in 2023, 2024 almost. There should be no excuse. If you can make a man's member into the shape of a woman's member, you should be able to put research into how we can make women's lives easier during pregnancy and during birth. But I was one of those people when I was younger, a child, teenager. I didn't want to have kids. Not because I didn't like kids, because I love kids, but I was terrified of having birth. Absolutely horrified. It was like, as I was growing up, it was told to me that it's the most difficult thing you'll experience. It's the most painful thing a human being can experience. All of those things, right? So when I found out I was pregnant, I was like the doe in the headlights. And I just started doing research, and I was praying, and I found a video that basically told, we really need more midwives. And midwifery is something that in the Black community we would greatly benefit from having more midwives, having more understanding of pregnancy and the birthing process, and how to raise children, because nobody tells you when you're 16, however old. I wasn't a 16-year-old single mother, but when you're a young single mother, nobody tells you, especially if you have no support. Nobody tells you these things. So you go through pregnancy not knowing anything. You go through birth probably traumatized, not knowing anything. And then you have this baby and people expect you to take care of it, but you were never taught. You were never taught. And going back to the reason why I made this video, women should be more upset that the one thing that only we can do, why are we still having to suffer through this with all the technological advances that we have? Y'all are telling me that in today's age, there has been groups of people who have gone to the moon and women are still dying during birth? That's insane. Women are still suffering through pregnancies. That's what we should be upset about. We should be upset about the fact that what is generally coined as women's health, aka birth control, is poison. It's poison. We should be mad about this. Not fighting for the right for the government to pay for really, not the government, but for taxpayer money to go to poisoning us. It's insane. And it's because we're improperly, oh wait, we're misinformed. We're misinformed. We're misinformed that our children mean nothing and their existence is subject to our whims. We're misinformed about our bodies and how our bodies work, and about sex, and about relationships, and what we should and can, the kind of standards that we should and can expect for a man who is wanting to literally enter the only body that we get. We should be more upset about those things, not about the fact that we're unable to delete our children. We should be more upset about the fact that birth is literally the oldest procedure. Like, people have been doing this since the dawn of time. How is it 2000 minimum, 2023 minimum years of life and medical expansion, and the best y'all can come up with is sometimes you just gotta kill the baby? Really? I think that's absolutely ridiculous, and I think that the value of life and the sanctity of life and the sanctity of women's bodies is really the problem. The lack of value, rather. That's really the problem. It's not that you can't have abortion. It's not. It's that you think, and you have been trained over the years, that giving yourself sexually to men, and also not going to leave this part out, that there are not strict enough consequences for men who rape women. They're not strict enough consequences. 6 or 7 years is nothing. And then if they're rich and they can, spend that time outside of jail and they can get a slap on their wrist, is nothing. There should be minimum, I believe, minimum 15, 20 years for rape. Yep, I'm gonna say it. Why? Because that woman is going to live with that for at least that amount of time. It could take at least that amount of time to get over a sexual assault or RAPE. And men have been making the laws for so long, and for some reason, even though women are able to vote, that's not something that's ever been brought up. I don't think I think those are the things that we should be more upset about. Where is the legislation for that? Where is the legislation to say that hospitals need to figure it out with making birth easier for women without having to pay extra money for it? Like, we are literally contributing to society with these babies. They're the future, right? So that is our contribution, even if you don't work a job. If you're providing quality children, quality future people, but quality future citizens of whatever town you're in, city, whatever, that's a contribution to society. The way you raise your child is a contribution to society. I just argue that there are things we should be more upset about. And our anger as women, because we have a lot to be angry about. There are a lot of injustices that we have to go through, right? But our anger as women is being misdirected by men who just want to use us to further their companies. But that's a conversation for another day. So God bless y'all. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, it is what it is. I can't be unconvinced of what it is that I believe. I don't believe that we're in a timeline that makes sense. None of the things that we experience make sense. And if people in third world countries and countries, literal villages, huts with dirt floors, can have 7 children, why are Gen Z in the United States saying it's too expensive to have kids? I'm not having kids. Okay, sterilize yourself. Oh no, I don't want to do that. So you want to delete your children. Like that's it. That's it. That's it. And we got to stop acting like it's not.